There we are.
Yeah. How about that?
Yeah, how about that? I'm starting my watch party.
Okay, perfect.
Uh-oh, forgot to turn on my sound.
Turn your sound on.
That's right.
And
That's done. Yay.
all right, so I'm watching. We've got people watching me already. I know I've got Tom. You get like 80 people. I get like one.
Well, I got to turn the sound on my other device. Beep. Okay, there we go. Yeah, we got.
Oh, so we're
Well, here we are, folks. A bunch of German guys going to talk to you tonight about stuff. And joining us will be my good friend Thorsten Skringer. And Jeff just met him.
From Germany, and he's up like at what is it, 5
in the morning in Germany. So he got his butt up at 4 just so he would talk to our asses. Which yeah. And some people are asking me how I know Thorsten. And tell this one little story before we bring him on. Is when I joined Tower Power, and I think it was 2002, right? My first year with the band, and we were playing the Muffathalle in München. That's Munich for us English speakers. And after the show, I'm talking with people. I'm really excited, first year in the band, and I just kind of Thorsten already come up and talked to me, and I just go, "Hey, does anybody know where there's some live music right now?" And Thorsten comes up and says, "Yeah, I know, good band." So he took me to hear this really great band at this place called the Nacht Cafe, and they played till like 3 in the morning, and they served food. And it was just like the coolest club, which is not there anymore, unfortunately, the way of clubs going. And that was the start of our friendship. And then the next time I play, I won't tell all these stories, but I want to tell this one story. The next time I played the Muffathalle, it might have been the next year, we were doing I Got to Groove as a encore. That was the encore that night. And back then, the whole horn section did this big jump move. Some of you might have seen the band, the horns do that. Back then, we could still all jump a little bit. So, and I was wearing this old style Ray Hyman neck strap for my sax. And it had an open hook. And as I jumped, my sax came off the hook, and I was going, it was like the world turned to slow motion as I watched my Selmer crash onto the stage, boom, and bounce. And I grabbed it, and it was before my solo, and the horn was pretty much unplayable. All I could play was the altissimo register. This is the only notes that I could get to come out. And afterwards, Thorsten goes, "Oh man, your horn." I go, "Did you got?" And I go, "Man, I hope you got somebody here that can fix it in Munich." And he said, "Oh, we got the best guy." And they do have the best guy. This guy named Max Fry. Now I was coming back to Munich anyway because Thorsten had made a gig for me and him. That's another story. So I looked at Thorsten and I go, "Can I borrow a horn for 2 weeks?" And he goes, "Sure. Which horn do you want?" Yes, do you want the Selmer or the Yamaha? So I think I borrowed the Yamaha. Anyway, I came back. Max had fixed my horn. It was better than it had ever been before. He had done some outrageous kind of work, putting in new pearl. I mean, I won't go into detail. And I go like, "Okay, how much do I owe you?" I'm figuring I owe like 1,200 euros, 1,600 euros. It's a major repair. And Max goes, "Oh, Thorsten took care of it." And I go, and between Max and Thorsten, somehow they took care of it where I didn't have to pay a penny, and I got a brand new horn. So that's kind of the person we're going to have on right now. And why don't we bring him on, Jeff? Because I see he's looking because I can see him. He's looking all embarrassed.
Before he comes on, let's play this video.
Play this video, yeah.
Video that he sent, and so everybody gets an idea of, what I think is cool is the beginning of this video has an older version of my car. That's why I like it. Okay. Here we go.
Thanks for getting up so early.
Yeah, this
Oh, wait, I see it.
Now I believe we came back on. So hold on. I just have to interrupt you.
my mom's already awake and she's watching it too.
Okay. Yeah.
I
And
talked
I
to my
noticed,
mom and I said, "Oh, you do something with Tom."
and
I
your
said,
sister
"Yes, but
too.
mom, it's just way too early."
Okay, so now no, it has nothing to do with you're up early. It has everything to do with user error from my end here. Okay, so now you should be seeing this one will work. And that's the one that's on right now.
Okay. Well, that's the one I'm streaming.
Is that
Yeah.
the one you're streaming?
Uh,
This one will work. Let's just talk for a few minutes. Let's okay. All right. Guten Morgen. Ivan, is that how you say it? Guten Morgen?
Guten Morgen,
Guten
exactly.
Morgen, yeah.
So
good.
other people know how to speak German.
Did I tell both you guys that I found out from the Austrian government that I'm eligible for an Austrian passport come September. I can start applying. Did I tell you that, Thorsten?
Yeah, you told me. That's
Yes. So I'm
a
definitely
smart option.
I'm definitely going to get one, and could happen that starting next year, in a year or so, I might move over there. If I have a passport and I don't have to go through makes life a lot easier. Because I can go over to Europe and then I can work because I'll be a member of the EU.
Yeah, you can work here right now already, but yeah, I would love to have you here, man.
Yeah.
Hey, can you get a place with an extra room for me?
Absolutely, I have an extra room. I gotta have a guest room. Yeah.
We will find something, Jeff.
Yes.
Do another time.
Yeah, and this time we will make him get up in the morning.
This time we'll get up in the morning.
Yeah, we'll get up in the morning and have you in the evening, Thorsten.
Yeah.
No problem.
So, Thorsten. So tell the folks a little bit about your history, like where you grew up. You're Bavarian, right? You grew up in you started playing clarinet at the age of what, 10 or something?
No, I started, it was the regular way of being a boy in Bavaria, East Bavaria, near to the border to Czech. I started playing flute at the age of 5, and then clarinet age of 7, and then I was like in a
wow
youth brass band, and you played the marching music, and I had little clarinet lessons where I studied some Mozarts and what happened there, and when I first heard a saxophone.
Was that a small town? Was that a small town?
Yeah, it's Bodenmais. It's about 3,000 people living there.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. So
okay.
Then we had this this improvisation seminar on a weekend, and I heard a sax player doing improvisings, and then I was totally infected. And I came home and I told my mom, "Hey, mom, I'm not a clarinet player anymore. I'm a sax player now, and I want to play jazz. I don't want to go on with classic." So my mom, she was fine with it as long as I stay with the music, because she loved it that I'm gonna be a musician, because the father of my mom, grandpa, he was a professional clarinet player. So this was how my music life started. Yeah, and then I remember still my first sound check with my first blues band at the age of 15. We were doing a sound check, and after sound check, the sound guy, he puts on some music in the PA system before, people come in and before the show starts or the gig starts. And the sound guy put it in Tower of Power, Attitude Dance. And this changed my life completely. Yeah. Are we rolling, Jeff?
Yeah, we're rolling. We got a little delay going because we're going across the Atlantic. So if I need to say something, I'll raise my hand. Yeah.
Okay.
So, did you go to college to study music?
We have a different system
you
here in
finished high
Germany.
school. What happened?
I didn't really finish high school. I just stopped going to school exactly at the age of 18. I would have had to repeat the 10th class, but I just didn't saw my future in the school education. So when I got 18, I just stopped going to school and I went to Munich and I joined a kind of a preschool, which took me 2 years before to have all the knowledge to be able to join really university for music. And after these 2 years preschool, this was called the New Jazz School Munich. I had like of arrangement and hearing and what you all need and rhythmic education and knowledge in jazz theory. So at the age of 20, I finished that preschool before a university, and basically I was supposed then to try to get to Cologne or to Mannheim or to Berlin or to Würzburg to study jazz, but I left that part out because I had too many gigs and too many students, so I didn't really study saxophone. Yeah.
That's really interesting. So when I met you, you were about 30, 31, 32.
Yeah.
Were you still late 20s when I met
No,
you?
I
2002?
was in the late 20s.
You would have been.
I met you 2003, I guess. When was your first Tower of Power Europe tour?
2002.
Okay, then we met 2002. But it was late 2002. Yeah. November. Yeah. So I was 27 at that time. Yeah. That was
and just I'm going to retell the story because I have a feeling that now that we have Thorsten on, and I don't think so many people didn't hear this story that I already told, so I'm going to tell it again. That I met Thorsten that in 2002 and I just shouted out, "Does anybody know where to hear music?" And you took me to the.
No, I brought you to Jazz Bar Vogler.
The Nachtcafé.
No, it was the Jazz Bar Vogler first.
Wasn't the Nachtcafé?
No, Nachtcafé was 1 year later.
Oh, so we went to
station. Yeah, the first station I brought you to was the Jazz Bar Vogler.
That's right.
Yeah.
I forgot. Okay. That's right.
The Jazz Bar
Vogler. So the next year was so my horn crashed. And so my horn crashed to the stage in 2004.
Yeah, it was 2004.
That's when that happened.
It was exactly.
When was when did we do? Was that was the year we did the gig in the pool, right? Right, in the pool.
Yes, this was the year we did in the pool. Yes, exactly. And yeah. And
empty pool, folks.
This was
empty pool.
And exactly in in 2003, late November 2003, I won this Yamaha contest where I did win this brand new Yamaha saxophone. So exactly when your saxophone fell on the floor at the Muffathalle, was the short time frame. I had like two main tenors at the same time. I still had my old Selmer, and I already had this brand new Yamaha. And the first thing really happening to my brand new Yamaha is I was giving it out to you to finish the tour until Max finished your saxophone.
What? Yeah. So we do this little jump. It's the encore. I have an old neck. So to finish the story, my Selmer goes up in the air and comes crashing down onto the stage, the last tune of the night. And, my horn is just completely wasted. And Thorsten goes, what are you going to do? And I look at him, I go like, can I borrow a horn for 2 weeks? Because I know.
1, 2, 1.
as you know, we were having trouble with my streaming service. So as we got to this point, we were frustrated and it hadn't been working. So I edited out all of the issues I'd been having, and you just watched the first half of the night where we had issues. I uploaded a new video streaming service, and then we did the second half of the night through a new streaming service. It was uninterrupted and it went really well. And we talked for another hour and a half. We may repeat ourselves, but you are able to see the first half of the night where the streaming service was having issues, the second half of the night where there were no issues. And you can watch it all in one sitting. So thank you for sticking with us through the first half of the night, and enjoy the second half of the night now. A software glitch.
Maybe. Yeah, I don't know.
So we are on another chatting surface than before.
Yeah, this is a completely different streaming service.
It's completely different company.
So I'm not even using an iPad now. I'm just using my computer.
Yeah. So you can stream this directly to, you want to do a trial run?
I'm actually streaming it right now.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Okay. So let me go look at your page.
That's funny.
Okay.
It went straight live. It didn't even go.
Okay. So
3 people watching already.
Yeah, I got to see 3 people watching. So this is pretty interesting. Let's talk for a while. See if this crashes. Hey, Mary, say hi to Todd for me, would you? I'm gonna wave to you, Mary.
Okay, so
Mary Dickow just came on.
Okay, this isn't going to crash. You know why?
Why is this not going to crash?
Because I'm not using an iPad or an iPhone. I'm using this straight from my laptop.
Damn, we got 6 people joined in already.
Can you know what what's really interesting is, and I don't, no offense to those watching us, but the fact that people are just hanging out waiting for us they're back and start watching. What's that say about what's going on in the world right now? We're all just hanging out.
Well, there we go. Jeff News Live. Yeah, I see the new one. Raul joined in. Berta.
Okay, so
we got 12. We're up to 12 now.
Those people now, anybody who's just watching, we are using a completely different streaming service right now. Switcher Studio crashed. Today,
crashed.
It crashed. I actually paid for this service today, and I have like a 7-day trial period where I can get my money back. But this is the first time I'm using this. Now, the only thing I can't do with this is all kinds of fancy overlays and, fade ins and fade outs, and we get just the 3 of us talking. But
it's working.
It's working.
Yeah.
It's working.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we can hear each other really well.
Yeah. Finally. I mean, it just took an hour. But if we go on, we can wait until Germany is awaking. Maybe we find some more people to join us, because it's 6 o'clock in the morning, so people start to get up.
So
it's 6 o'clock there.
Yeah,
6 a.m.
My God.
Yeah. So I just thought of a funny, I took like 2 years of German in high school. And I got straight A's, 2 years of German. And then, I've been to Germany many times. So, I kind of have an ear for the language and I understand some stuff. And when we did this, when Thorsten had this gig, he told me, he says, we're going to rehearse for 4 days in a row. But, it's like and pretty much everybody spoke English. He says, we can't help it. He says, the rehearsal is going to be in German. And I said, fine, it'll be great for me. I'll be immersed in German for 4 days. So, I learned what I think is called High German, is what I was being taught in school. And they were talking, and it was about, I think I don't know if you remember this, Thorsten, but you guys were saying some words, and I go like, Yeah, and I repeated it back to you. So I'm like, what the hell is that? That doesn't sound like German. He goes, oh, we're speaking Bavarian. And I go like, yeah, because that doesn't sound like the German I hear on the news.
Exactly.
It was a serious accent. I mean, the accent was like, can you say something like normal and then say the same thing in Bavarian so I can hear the difference? Could you give me an example of that?
Yeah, I mean, if you say, ich schicke euch einen schönen guten Morgen-Gruß nach USA.
So I wish everybody in the USA a very good morning.
Exactly.
That's what you just said. Yeah.
What's the difference between High German and
Bavarian?
It's just a very hard dialect. It's like British English and American English.
Or it's more like American English and Scottish English.
Or, yeah, Scottish is a very, very deep dialect.
So how do you say the same thing in Bavarian?
Ja, ich sag mal Grüß dich und Guten Morgen nach Amerika.
Wow. That's really, yeah.
That's completely different.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's another language, basically.
Yeah. So did you? I don't know if you ever met Benny Delic, who's from Hamburg, and he speaks high. That he speaks what they speak in Hamburg, and he always jokes and says, "Yeah, they don't speak German down there."
Yeah.
And then you guys say, "Yeah, they don't speak German up there." I love that. I love all the dialects. It's amazing. It's so cool.
If Tom moves there and I come over there to visit, can I go into any bar and would people, on the most part, be able to speak English to me because I'm a knucklehead? Or would they?
Yeah. I mean, if maybe when you really enter really very, very small parts, also a lot of parts in East Germany, small villages in East Germany, maybe there it's a little bit more difficult to find really good English, but in all the cities, all the middle big cities, you can come along with English perfect, really.
And of course, all of Scandinavia, they all speak English.
Yeah, Scandinavia and Holland, they have a better system because they don't synchronize the American movies, what we do.
Oh, that's right. You mean they overdub them?
Yeah, they overdub them.
Yeah.
Or like we overdub them, and like the people in Holland, they watch original with subtitles.
Which is always a better way to watch a movie.
Of course.
Yeah. And then, of course, if you go to France, though, you're going to be shit out of luck.
Yeah.
Because there's not that many. Some of the younger French people, you'll find people who speak English, but you'll find lots of people who do not speak English. I think Italy and Spain too. The Romance language speaking countries don't speak English as much.
So this is my question then. If I just speak English and I walk into, are there places that I could go and find jam sessions? Are there lots of bars where bands play different kinds of music around? Or is that getting more like California where there aren't that many places to play?
Well, it started in Munich years ago that bars and clubs are closing where there's live music, of course. It's a shame, actually. I mean, Munich has 1.5 million people and we have only one real jazz club left and one jazz bar left where you are not allowed to play with a stick drum set past 10 o'clock in the evening.
Oh, God.
Oh.
And but okay, these two bars are still existing. Sometimes new bars are coming up, downstairs bars. They all have closed since March now, and we don't know what bar will reopen at all after all this.
Yeah,
nobody knows. I mean, you don't know how long does this gonna take, and how there's still no real. Only restaurants reopened 1 month ago or 6 weeks ago. All the bars, all the clubs, all downstairs stuff, they are still all closed.
Do
And
you,
right now, the problem is not really when are they allowed to reopen? Will people go there if a bar or a club is reopening? Because we had some restaurants, we had some hotels who were allowed to reopen, and then they did reopen after the first 2 months shutdown, and they had to close again after 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks because not enough people are showing up.
see, now that's a real difference between Germany and what's going on in America, because in America, you open a bar and there's enough people who think this is crazy, and they'll pack the bar, and then that's why that's why we have the numbers, the infection rate we have in this country, because nobody there's no guidance. I mean, plenty of us, there's so many people like me who wear masks. Jeff, we don't go near people, but there's so many people. And where I'm living, people are pretty good. I live in the East Bay. People are really good here. Very, very, very good, up and down everywhere I go. But I hear these stories from other parts of the country, or even other parts of the Bay Area, where people are like, just, hanging out, hanging out without masks real close, hanging out with people they haven't seen in a while.
I saw
Probably not a good idea.
I saw a report on the news about Sweden. Sweden didn't close down at all.
Right.
And they were talking to a restaurant owner that had 4 restaurants. But as people started getting sick, everybody stopped going out. And they ended up having to close their restaurants, not because they were told to lock down, but just because people were afraid to go out because they were afraid they were going to get sick.
Ah, well, that's interesting.
Well, in Germany we call it the Swedish way. The Swedish way was discussed pretty much as well here, because there have been the most difference was the Swedish government. They did shut down some things. So the bigger events, big concerts didn't happen too in Sweden.
Hmm.
But anything else, the regular daily life, they didn't close the schools. They didn't forbid people to meet each other. But they did close something, but they didn't close the schools and all that. But now what I heard recently, I cannot watch the news all the time because I made myself kind of organized that I'm busy right now. So I'm really blessed that I have more than 60 students, which I'm teaching online right now, and this is like my basic work at the moment. I completely switched from a live player to okay, now I'm a teacher and I teach 60 students. So I'm not watching the news like 4, 5, 6 times a day. But I heard that, I guess, pretty actual, that Sweden has a little bit sort of a kind of a second wave, and they are at the limit of what they can handle there, because it only has 8 or 9 million people. I don't know exactly.
It's about right.
But the rate of infections and the rate of the death, I have no idea, but it's actually pretty high. It's not that high because Sweden only has 8 or 9 million people, but even the Swedish people don't know really, are we on the right way? Because this is actually what I found out for myself in these times right now, that it has, that you cannot have the right way. You just try to make it, handleable.
Yeah.
And compared to this, I know that we here in Germany or I'm sure that we handled some things better and more efficient and more restrictive than like the US. Yeah.
Yeah.
So other than the students that you started having, which is a blessing. I mean, that's really cool that you can get 60 students. And you were telling me this story the other night, how it started with 3 or 4, and then the next week there was 10, and it's great. Are you doing any kind of studio work or session work that you record things for people and then send them the WAV files, any of that kind of stuff?
Yes, I started really with Logic and interface 10 weeks ago. I was very blessed in my life that I never had to take care about, oh, I have to get, the infrastructure to record myself at home. And I'm not really talented in all this computer stuffs and computer programs. I always have been an active guy. I always tried to keep the time before the computer as less as possible.
Mhm.
And I was very privileged. Oh no, Thorsten doesn't need to get all this, interface and microphones and, study Logic to know all the commands, because I'm hired to go in the studio and record. So this was my life until March 2020.
Me too.
And since April 2020, I have Logic on my computer, and I have interfaces, and I have the microphones. And yes, I did record a couple of takes and send it out. But so far, I only had like one paid recording where I was really hired. Hey, can you play us 2 or 3 solos and send us the files, and we pay you?
Mhm.
This happened now once in 3 months. The rest was just I record something and send it to a friend because he's working on some ideas.
Mhm.
But it's not it. I think it's this sort of job, actually, being a studio musician and record and get paid for this. These times are kind of over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of work. And even when you do work, nobody has any money. So when they do pay you, they can't pay you very much.
Yeah.
At least the musicians I know who ask me to do stuff, they don't have a lot of money.
But it still, I'm happy to make all this experience right now to be able to do that, because this is the future. It's like record yourself, maybe also be able to video yourself, make it visually clear what you're doing. This will gonna be the future.
Yeah.
I want to. I think that this is something that's really interesting that as musicians we're all going to talk about, because I was talking with a guy with Lenny White, drummer, and about the experience of playing music. And you used to buy the album and you go out and you go, oh, here's the band.
Mhm.
And Thorsten, you were telling me about how you were a fan of Tower of Power. And you had their records, their music, and then the first time you went to see them and what that experience was like. And that's the thing that we'll start missing in doing these recordings and the way we're doing this thing right now, is the experience of listening to a player like you liked listening to Tom and all the other players. And you were telling me that when you first heard Tom play with Tower of Power and how it made you feel, and standing there, you were telling me about just standing there going,
yeah.
Right?
I was standing at, they started cleaning the Muffathalle, the concert place. When the concert's over, 25 minutes later, when they start cleaning it, and then these guys with the orange jackets are coming up and say, okay, you have to leave now. And I was still standing there. I was watching the almost empty stage. And I think I spoke to the trumpet player, Flo, and said, they have him. They have him now. They got him. They got him. After all these years, I know they've got him.
Yeah.
And this moment was so unbelievable. I was still standing there, couldn't move. And then a door at the right side opened, and I played in the Muffathalle as well. So I know this is like the area where the backstages are. And in that moment, Tom alone came out in that part, and he saw me standing there. And Tom kind of started the conversation to me, which was pretty bizarre, because I was in shock mode. And then Tom asked me, hey, do you know something? It's my first tour. And I said, yeah, I know that this is your first tour. Of course I know something, but you know something, where's maybe live music? And then I brought Tom into this bar, and we kept talk for a couple of minutes. And I said, hey, I'm here with my car. I can bring us to the club. You just bring your horn. I know where your hotel is. I know the hotel. I can bring you back to the hotel. You don't miss the bus call. No problem. Then Tom went backstage and told his tour manager, I'm not with the bus. I go with somebody else And when we entered the jazz bar Vogler, there were a lot of guys who asked me, Thorsten, you have your saxophone, which I didn't. And then Tom kind of started realizing, oh, this is not just a fan, or he's also a sax player. So this is how it all started. Yeah, this is how it started.
Then when I finally heard him play, I went like, oh, he's not just another saxophone player. He's just an amazing saxophone player. And the way your playing has grown, sir, since I met you and matured, and you've got your sound and your style and your one of the things I love too about your funk playing is you're so rhythmic, which is kind of my thing too. It's like you really understand rhythm. Really, really amazingly, yeah. And Jeff, do you think we could try to play that video of What Is Hip with me and Thorsten playing together? Well, do you think that's possible? Can we try that? And just pull it if it doesn't sound good.
Well, it may sound okay, but what I think may happen is the video may not play all that well, but we will see.
But I could maybe play that video because I'm on an interface section, so at least we can have the sound if its video is not working. Just keeping time.
Well, let me try something. I do have a way of pulling it up, but I want to continue the story about the experience of what that was. And that's the thing that I think we may start missing if we're all just locked up, is having that experience that you had.
Well, plus I think we all grew up. I know Jeff and I did up, I grew up mainly going to hear live music in the mid-late 70s and 80s, always going to hear live music, buying the record and putting the record on and sitting there and listening to it in order, and then turning it over to the B-side and listening, and just sitting there listening to music. It's like that used to be a thing you do, and read all the liner notes, and I loved it when I got an album with lots of information, Okay. There was lots of information. Okay, we're going to try this?
I'm going to try it. Here we go.
Okay. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
Of course, the minute I share the screen, the minute I share it, it goes away. There we go. Okay. Let's share. I'm going to do this one more time. Oh, no.
Okay.
To be sharing. So, I got to go there. Oh, here we go.
Learning the new app.
You guys are watching me. Here we go. Oh, okay. Come on.
Well, you got there we go. Okay. Okay.
Ah. Ah,
Oh,
It's a little garbled. Not bad.
it's okay.
I want to know why your mic was hotter than my mic. That was messed up. I got to talk to Jerry about that because you were louder in that video than me, and it's not because you were playing louder than me.
no, I'm not. No, I'm not.
I mean, you're loud, but I'm loud. So, anyway. But yeah, that was a fun night, man. That was a fun night. So how the hell do you go do that? You have this double tonguing thing, which I talked to you before the other day about. That is could you do you have your horn handy? You got a reed wet? Can you demonstrate that to me?
Yeah, this all started up when I was a kid, basically.
You taught me this, and I got to start practicing it because I actually practiced it for 2 weeks straight, and I could start to do it really slowly. Right? You learned it on clarinet. Right?
Yeah, I cannot do it slowly. I cannot do it slowly. Sometimes I was lazy and pragmatic, and then I found out, okay, I got this. I have to touch the reed to start the note. And if I do faster staccato, I have to touch the reed even faster. And then I came up to the idea, okay, once I pass my reed from the downside, why can't I pass the reed also going down? So
exactly.
I touch the reed from downside and going back.
Right.
And this is how I came to it. Oh, I can use like this. I have the way of the tongue is like this.
You were young, and you were very young.
Nobody told me this. I never saw any. I never saw anybody, doing this. I just came up to where's my slide? Hold on a second. Yeah. So this, I found this in my laziness. I found this. So. Is the microphone on? Is it working?
So folks, Thorsten is one of the only guys I've ever heard that can do this technique, and it's badass.
Yeah, okay, I see.
Fuck.
Wow.
I did this because I was lazy to practice single tonguing that fast.
You don't need it. Look, it's actually should be taught because it's a super effective technique, and I'm going to start practicing that again because, well, to tell you the truth, I'm just going to start practicing again because the last 2 weeks I haven't really practiced very much, and when this thing first hit, I didn't practice very much too, and then I had a couple of weeks where I was practicing really well, but there's go ahead.
We just with the Heavy Tones band, we just did like a Earth, Wind and Fire tribute album, and we know there are some horn parts in some Earth, Wind and Fire recordings where they told us they have been in the TV show where I played. So members of Earth, Wind and Fire told us how they sometimes tricked when they taped it. So they had this ADAT recordings going on, where they put the recording setup to 50% of the speed and recorded some parts 1 octave lower and as staccato-ish as possible, and then brought it back up to the original speed, and then it sounds 1 octave higher. That was the old recording systems. Wow. So that was the trick behind so all these, a lot of sporty stuffs in the Earth, Wind and Fire old studio recordings have been produced like this. Sometimes they were not using trumpets, they were using flugelhorns. Is it the same word, flugelhorn?
Yeah.
They were using flugelhorn 1 octave lower and played as staccato-ish as possible, bring it back up, have double speed again, and then it's 1 octave higher and it's ultra staccato. But we have this one. Wow. Is it Magic Man? Yeah, we just did a tribute album with the Heavy Tones where there's this horn part and it's unplayable with the single tonguing. You have to use this technique. It goes like this. I hope I don't fuck it up right now.
I know that part.
Yeah, and if you use single tonguing, you're not getting close to the tempo you need, or
Yeah.
you have to practice years, and I have not time, to practice years that one part.
So on clarinet, because the mouthpiece comes more straight up. I mean, did you play clarinet really out like this, or did you play like what angle do you play your clarinet? Because
always 90 degrees.
90 degrees, so you can still hit the top of the reed. You can still use the technique with clarinet because you did it on clarinet first, right?
Yeah.
So you can do it. Okay, I was just curious about that. Yeah. So I was just thinking about the angle of the reed,
Yeah,
So that's badass, man. That is just I've got to learn to do that.
I'm really asked often
Okay.
about this. The trumpet player and trombone player, some of them do use kind of similar thing, and I guess they call it the doodle tonguing.
Yeah, you can double tongue on a brass instrument.
Yeah.
Totally. You can totally make it sound, and on flute you can double tongue and triple tongue. But
Yeah.
it's always been a problem with a reed instrument. And
Yeah.
you can't triple tongue, but you definitely can double tongue. Yeah. So,
I think Gerald Albright is one of the masters of this technique as well. Especially, what with the lick in that the lick I practiced, and I of course I basically I stole it from Gerald Albright, because these 16th triplets where he goes up with the third note of the triplets is always louder, and this I stole from Gerald Albright, and the other licks I played I stole from you, as my mom used to say, because I was going to a Tower of Power show with my mom in Austria, and then my mom told me, we were in the audience, watching Tower of Power, and my mom said to me, "Oh, Thorsten, this is interesting because Tom really plays the way you want to play." I said, "Yeah, thank you, Mom."
Great.
Yeah.
And now you play the way I want to play.
No. You're still my role model, Tom, and you know it. I mean, you have exactly which I call the perfect balance between, playing with soul, playing rhythmically, playing with your heart, but still have a big jazz influence, and make it, same. The ingredients of your playing are pretty much my role model view of your playing. It's still, I'm still not I'm still not tired of announcing all my heroes, and all my heroes have been definitely like the first big influences, like Maceo Parker and Michael Brecker and Bob Mintzer with the Yellow Jackets, and Tower of Power with Tom Politzer. These names I just dropped, just they followed me every time of the day. Of course, I did watch and listen.
Tell that story. So you got to go when Bob Mintzer was rehearsing the WDR band, right? You got to sit in on a rehearsal, and they were doing this. That was with Ricky Peterson, right?
Yeah, I think
and you told me. So this is. I guess we can tell that story. I don't want to embarrass anybody. Maybe we shouldn't tell the story.
No, it doesn't. Maybe it doesn't. I don't think it does embarrass anybody. But it was so funny because when I watched this big band rehearsal, WDR big band, Bob Mintzer conducting, with Ricky Peterson. They played the Snake album from David Sanborn. No, Upfront.
Yeah.
The Upfront album, and this is one of the albums I heard. I don't know, maybe 1,000 times or 1,500 times. I knew all the parts in my head. And I'm such a big fan of the WDR big band because the sax players, they are just all monsters on their instruments and on their doublings. They play flute amazing. They have an amazing flute and woodwind section. But at this rehearsal, I found out, okay, if I compare myself to these sax players, I definitely can hear that I listened more to the Upfront album than the sax players of the WDR big band. And that moment really felt great because I thought, okay, this production right now, I know that I could handle it too. And it was so funny because they had like arranged for 5 saxophones David Sanborn melody themes, and yeah, they played the notes who were written there, you know, as close as possible. You can write out and notate David Sanborn's way of playing a theme, but it didn't, you know, it didn't really exactly phrase that way or have that kind of same feeling. What note is short, and sometimes it's just one note long and one note short who changes the whole feeling of a theme. And so I still remember when Bob Mintzer took his computer and went to his famous saxophone section and opened his computer and started the original David Sanborn recording and let his sax players listen again to the David Sanborn original way, how David Sanborn plays the theme. And then they were like, yeah, should we now listen to David Sanborn? We are the WDR big band. But I mean, they are great. But then they had to listen 16 bars to the theme, and then Bob Mintzer closed his computer and said, there's only one David Sanborn, guys. And he was right. I mean,
Yeah.
and I said, oh my, I'm so happy that this just happened, because this was exactly the thing I missed. They weren't playing the right notes, and they were playing it completely perfect, but there was something missing, and it's in the phrasing, it's in the way of what note is short and what little note is maybe a little bit back or laid back. And I was so happy that Bob Mintzer just celebrates David Sanborn as well as a huge giant of saxophone, which he is.
Yeah, totally. I know David pretty well these days, and I think you know that, right? Because we toured with him. And David, I share this one story. David said he knew the recording industry was kind of on the downslide, and his recording schedule, you know, his recording career was going downhill when he was hired to play a recording session in New York City. And he goes there, and they've got the sheet music, you know, with the changes and stuff, and the form of the tune. And where he's supposed to solo, it says solo, and then it says Sanborn-esque. and so, like, and he goes, maybe I guess they didn't know who they were hiring to do the solo. Like, you know, he just went like, do these guys even know that I am David Sanborn? You know, he said it was pretty. He said it was a humbling moment.
Yeah, I mean, he's a founder of the way to play like this, and yeah. I still remember you were on tour with Tower of Power, and in your pre-show was happening Steve Gadd, Joey DiFrancesco, David Sanborn trio.
Ooh, that was fun.
Like, what is that, a trio? What, really? Are you kidding me? Before Tower of Power, I can see the Steve Gadd, Joey DiFrancesco, David Sanborn trio. This must be a joke. It's unbelievable that these 3 guys are standing there, and it happened. And then Joey DiFrancesco played his foot bass, and then at the encore he dropped the trumpet, and I was completely fundamentally shocked.
Have you heard Joey DiFrancesco play saxophone?
No, not yet.
Oh. I can't. He's good.
Maybe I don't want to hear that. Oh God,
he doesn't. I'm thinking he doesn't have much of a social life or play golf or ski or anything. I don't think he does any of that stuff.
Yeah.
Hey, tell me about the TV show thing that you do. Is that still?
Yeah, tell them about and also tell us the time that Tower Power was on the TV show. You guys got us on the TV show.
Okay. This is basically, this was one of the turning points in my life, I have to say. We had, among the 0 decades, 2000, 2005, 2010, we had 2 really late night shows in the way of the American late night shows have been, like the Tonight Show, and and so we had this one late night show which was run by Harald Schmidt, the host. He has a band that was okay. And then there was this other late night show by Stefan Raab, which was called TV Total, TV Total. And this show I always watched when I had the opportunity to watch TV at 11 o'clock in the night, because there has been the band The Heavy Tones, and this was like the most kicking band in German television. And I was watching this for years, 7 or 8 years. And I always had a look on that band. I said, wow, they are the band. This is like, yeah, wow. And in 2008, I had the opportunity for Yamaha saxophones to play like little shows at Music Messe Frankfurt, Music Fair Frankfurt, which is the smaller version of the NAMM show in Germany.
Mm.
And they asked me to perform there as Yamaha artist. And shortly before, they asked me, is it maybe possible that you do something together with a trumpet player from the Heavy Tones? And I said, of course, yes. So we did, we combined our shows, and we found 4 or 5 songs we did together. We couldn't rehearse because the trumpet player was, until the evening before, he was in the TV show, and this was in Cologne, and I lived in Munich, so we could not find the time to rehearse. So our first meeting was soundcheck, play the show directly. But it matched directly. And 2 days later, the band leader from the Heavy Tones heard me together with the trumpet player. And right away after that, the band leader told the trumpet player, okay, if our sax player will miss the next show, we have to hire this guy and not the other substitutes he has. Yeah. 4 months later, the first call came. We have a studio production, not a TV show, but we have a separate studio production, and our band leader wants to have you as substitute for our sax player. And I went to Cologne. I did 3 days studio recording with the Heavy Tones. So in the studio, you can hear everything. And is he tight? Is he in tune? Can he read? And this went out pretty okay. And yeah, like a sign from above. 6 months later, their sax player said he wants to quit because he's leaving to be professor on a high school for composition and saxophone. And so the spot got free. So the momentum was on my side, that I was one of 5 invited players for the audition. So I went to the audition. 4 other great players also went to the audition, but at the end, it came out like Tom told me on the phone, because Tom was the only person I involved in that scenery, because I had to sign a paper that I was not allowed to talk about it. This was secret. And if somebody asked, you officially just joined or substituted the sax player for one show. But that one show substituting was the audition, directly show. And Tom said, Thorsten, stay relaxed. If you think this is your gig, you will get it. So Tom made me calm and patient. And 1 week later, I got the call, or 2 weeks later, I got the call that I should come to Cologne. And that's when I moved to Cologne, 2009. And then I stayed for 8 years in Cologne, and I taped more than 1,100 TV shows with that.
Yeah.
And so it was like you would play people on, play people off, play behind people, all
exactly.
of that.
We were kind of, pretty, we were not, the roots are the roots, but we had the same work the roots are doing, with intro show. Sometimes we were doing music stuff with our host, because our host was also very interested in music and very music. He's playing drums and guitar and sings. So it was pretty similar to the intense of work and the importance of the band in the show, pretty much to Jimmy Fallon and the Roots. So sometimes we played with guests, and sometimes we played with our host. We played, into the commercials, in and out. So we played, of course, we played with Alicia Keys. We played with Tom Jones. We played with Eminem. We played with
John Legend.
The list is quite long. And our host, the host of the TV show, is the biggest James Brown, Earth, Wind & Fire, and Tower of Power fan in the world.
Okay.
So I was not in the band. This happened 2002 or 2003. They had James Brown in the show, and James Brown was jamming with the band. And 2012, we had Earth, Wind and Fire in the show. And yeah, so this all went on for 5, 6, 7 years. And after 15 years altogether, the host decided to end his TV career. And this was in summer 2015. So I called Tom and I said, Tom, it's just a shame. I have now this gig since 6 or 7 years, and we never, ever made it happen that you visit me at the show with, my lifetime gig. Or we never, ever made it happen that Tower of Power comes to the show because our host loves it. And so Tom said, well, in 2015, we have a Europe tour coming up. We are in Europe, November, December. So I watched the schedule, and there was exactly one spot where Tower of Power passed Cologne from Holland to Bremen. And exactly on that off-day, travel day, where they passed Cologne, on that day, we taped one of our last TV shows. So I organized everything that Tower of Power will stop in Cologne. Tower of Power will join the TV show. And Tower of Power was like with a whole band on the right stage. There was an intro section where the Tower of Power horns joined the heavy tones and all that stuff. So I created a little bit storyboard that Tower of Power did also take part in that show. And this was, it was. I remember when the show was over, I could not believe it. And this was the first time ever, I guess, that Emilio did hear me play. Or in the pre-production, we sent some tapes that the horns from Tower of Power can check out what we have to play in the intros. Mm-hmm. And I think that was the moment that Emilio first time heard me play. And after that show, Emilio said, Thorsten, aren't you coming to Bremen tomorrow to our show? And I said, yeah. It's like the 25th time I will hear you play. And Emilio said, okay, bring your horn, you have to set in. And it was like, oh, man. No, I don't bring my horn. I'm not going to do this.
You've sat in many times before now, like 3 or 4 times.
In that tour, 2015, it was 2 times. It was Bremen and Cologne. And then, 3 years later, or 2.5 years later in Karlsruhe. Yeah, it's 3 times now. Yeah.
You're an honorary member of the band. Yeah, you are. Like if I couldn't do a gig and I said I can't do this gig, but Thorsten can fill in with me, everybody would go like, fine, no problem. Yeah. And we had a nice hang because Stefan Raab the first time ever brought the band to New York City during the Super Bowl. Yeah, that was fun. And they set up this little tiny studio right above Times Square with windows looking out above Times Square, but it only seated, maybe 60 people, 50 people. It was so small.
No, it was exactly 16 people.
16 people. God, it was that small? Yeah, I guess so. But I was lucky enough to watch them tape a couple shows, so that was fun.
This was one of the most unrealistic moments in my life that that the Heavy Tones band and the whole TV show flies over from Cologne to New York City, and we tape 1 week our show live from New York City, the right across the street there was Jimmy Fallon at the same time, and this is like, oh, this is unrealistic. I'm so privileged that the TV station pays us the flights, pays us daily fee to produce a TV show from New York City. What a dream is that? Yeah.
We heard, and then remember we went and heard Eric Alexander.
We heard Derek Alexander, which was incredible.
Yeah.
I saw the Joey DiFrancesco trio in the Birdland. We visited Norbert Satchel in his private house, which was
right.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, the Norbert Satchel. Outrageous. Yes.
That was fun. That was fun hanging out with you, watching that all. Luckily, I had that week off, and I went out there and I stayed at the same hotel as the TV of all the TV people. That was the Novotel.
Yeah, the Novotel. Yeah, but Jeff, you have to think. I told Tom, "Hey Tom, we're gonna be 1 week in New York City with our TV show and the band," and Tom said, "Okay, let me organize something, and I can change my travel schedule, so I will at least join you for 3 or 4 days." So Tom from Canada, I guess, he came down and
That's
joined.
right.
And Tom was like my nightlife, jazz life guide.
So,
Yeah.
what did you go see? Where did you go when you were hanging out?
Well, we went to this club down New Amsterdam. It was kind of like back, let me see, like the 90s, 80s or 90s. We saw that club we saw Eric Alexander play in.
Yep.
And didn't we see something else too? Did we go to the Village Vanguard?
And we saw the Vanguard big band, yes. Oh,
yeah. We saw the Village Vanguard, and I think we peeked into the Blue Note too because they're close.
Yeah.
And then right around the corner from Village Vanguard is Smalls.
Smalls, yeah.
Yeah, which I don't know if we went into Smalls. Can't remember.
Oh,
what did you do?
We just lost him.
We did.
Yeah, I don't know what happened.
Oh, we lost his feed.
Yeah, maybe.
Oh no, Thorsten.
Hey, well, you know what? But this has been going great. I'm so happy because
it's a steady stream.
It's a good conversation. So let's text him to see if there's something that happened on his end. But this has been working.
He said he dropped out, no idea. Let me send him a little text. You send me a text here.
Try to rejoin, and then we can finish up. He should be able to just join back in.
Join again?
Yeah.
Join again?
Yeah, there he is.
Okay, there he is. He's back.
Oh.
Yeah. What? That was funny. Well, with the issues that we've had tonight, the fact that we've made it this long, is really wonderful because we've had like an hour of really good conversation about really cool stuff. But I wanted to ask you though, you were saying before you got the TV show, when did you get your Yamaha artist thing? When did that happen?
If I remember right, this was the Yamaha European Saxophone Contest. Has been in November 2003. Okay. And in the early beginning 2004, I got the instrument. The first prize was, to get this instrument, and my choice was the 82 set Yamaha. And 2 or 3 weeks later, I watched Tom with Tower of Power, and his horn fell off. And so I played the horn for maybe 3 or 4 gigs and some rehearsals. And then I gave it to Tom to finish the tour with it. Yeah.
Well, I also picked that horn too because I knew that horn was more replaceable than your Selma.
I was not so pathetic on that. I sold the Selma, I think 5-6 months later I sold the Selma.
Yeah.
So
I sold my Selma too.
Yeah. So this is just my only tenor right now.
It's the same one, right?
It's the same one. It's this is like a holy horn because one of the first things that horn experienced was being on tour with Tower of Power and played by Tom Politzer. So I cannot give it away. This is the Holy Grail.
This is true.
What was the first record you bought?
The first record I bought, believe it or not, was Tower of Power, Monster on a Leash.
Really?
David Sanborn, Heart to Heart, and Maceo Parker Live on Planet Groove. These were like my first 3 albums. Followed by the return of the Brecker Brothers album with Dennis Chambers and all that. So, and these 4 albums I listened random. Really, I Tower Power, David Sanborn, Macy Parker, Brecker Brothers. Tower Power, David Sanborn, myself. And I still remember one of the most magic moments was I told the drummer of my first blues band that I have now the Tower of Power album with the Attitude Dance song, which was the first song I've ever heard from Tower of Power. We did this. We had the blues band sound check. I was 15 years old. We did the sound check with the blues band. Sound check finished. Wait for the guys, and then the sound guy started playing a mixtape, and the mixtape started with Attitude Dance. When I first heard Attitude Dance, Tower of Power, at the age of 15, I went straight across to the sound guy. I said, "Don't go away. What are we listening to? What is that?" And he said, "I don't know, just a mixtape, ohne Filter." It was a German TV show with music. Wait a second, this is track 1. It's Tower of Power, Attitude Dance. Okay, let me write that down. I need to get this. I need to get this. And this was times before internet, so you had to find a local dealer who is able to, bring in it was brand new CD from Tower of Power, yeah. And then I told my drummer, "Oh, I'm a big fan of Tower of Power now, and I have this album here, Monster on a Leash." And he said, "Yeah, great album, I know. But do you have one of the old albums?" And I said, "How many albums do they have?" You couldn't watch a website of Tower of Power because the internet has not been existing yet. Then he said, "Oh, I have another album. Here, listen to that." And he turned on Don't Change Horses in the middle of the stream, the old original studio version. And I still remember the first part, the horns are coming in, are on a 4 and, no horns. 5 long years we have been together. Yeah, and pop. This first, it's just a simple 4 and, pop. And I said, "Oh my God, how cool is that?" So was it the Back to Oakland or In the Slot album? I think it's Back to Oakland.
I think so too, yeah.
Don't Change Horses, Back to Oakland, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, these were like my 4 most influences: Brecker Brothers, Tower of Power, David Sanborn, Macy Parker.
So, one of my favorite sax players, Anibal Rojas, is watching. He has a question for you. And Anibal wants to know, he said, he heard you in the earlier video we first played that you were using a wah-wah pedal.
Yeah.
So what were you using? What were you using to get that effect?
Truly, I was checking out a lot of these effects because, you heard the effect in earlier Michael Brecker lives, and he used really all. I found out that the MXR envelope filter for bass guitars are working pretty good.
Is that what you used?
Yeah, MXR bass envelope filter, because in Europe we have a very famous trombone player. He's called Niels Landgren and the Funk Unit.
Oh yeah.
And Niels Landgren and his sax players, they are using a lot of these pedals too. And I just saw a show, and I went to the stage as close as possible, and then I saw this MXR envelope filter. Yeah,
we've done many shows with Niels Landgren and what's his band called? The
Funk Unit.
Funk Unit. Yeah.
Wow.
That's a great band too.
I don't want to interrupt the flow, but I just want to ask just one more question because of you growing up and being such a Tower fan, and you describing who you listen to. And when I was watching that video of you playing with Tom on What Is Hip, and you guys doing that solo, and you step back from doing this thing, and you got this smile on your face. All I could think about was, what was that like when you being the fan that you were there, and you were like, I saw that smile on your face. I'm just trying to imagine the feeling you were having.
I have no memories concrete about I know that I was so super nervous that I even couldn't, in that moment, I couldn't have written my name down on a piece of paper. That was my personal condition in that moment. But I know exactly. I think the look I had after the second time I played, and I got this kind of interaction applause from the audience because maybe they loved my triplet tonguing or whatever. I mean, I could feel on stage that nobody in the audience, or most of the people in the audience, didn't feel like, okay, can this guy please get off stage? So I had the feeling, okay, the people are enjoying maybe that moment. There's something now happened they didn't expect. There were a lot of people who know, of course, the band I used to play in the TV show, so it was kind of, yeah, this has like enclosures, Heavy Tones and Tower of Power, they have enclosures. So this was the second part. I did 8 bars, and I noticed, okay, I think the people don't think I suck.
No, you got a lot of applause. You fired them up.
And of course you're always critic to yourself. You never hear. I never heard a recording of myself where I really think, yeah, this is pretty good. I always hear things. I could have done it better there. I could have done it better there. I could have get an exit out earlier, whatever. But in that moment, the look you were talking about was the look that I started realizing on stage. Besides my nervousness, okay, I think it's doing pretty okay. I'm not fucking it up, and
No, you're not.
It was pretty okay.
yeah. But this was like one of the most nervous moments, even if it was already the third time I was allowed and privileged to sit in with Tower Power. But I was nervous like hell.
So my friend Bill Moline from the East Coast is up late. You're up late, Bill. Hey, talk about just real quick, talk about your tenor setup, your mouthpiece and your reed of choice and your ligature. Quick look for the sax players on stage. Somebody want to know your setup.
I have a very, very old, 1,000 times refaced Autolink early Babbitt mouthpiece, but pretty much refaced with a little slightly baffle in it. I use Van Dorn V16-3 reeds. I use the Van Dorn Optimum ligature. That's all what it is. And I use the custom 82 set, the same saxophone Tom plays in black and gold, I played in silver. That's the whole secret. And my most secret, a little bit different to Tom, I keep my reeds always in the water. And I think Tom waters his reeds like 2 or 3 hours before the show. My reeds are always in the water when they are not playing.
Okay. Yeah, mine get so waterlogged when they're new. I feel like when you have new cane and you put it in there, it gets transparent. Like it gets so you can almost see through the wood. So I always wait. An older reed, I can see doing that with my older reeds, leaving them in water. But yeah, plus I just put them in warm water because warm water opens up the pores in the water. That works for me. Now some guys soak them in vodka. The other thing I've seen, this is pretty interesting. My friend Fred Vigdor, who plays with Average White Band, he has these cases that surfers use to put their like cell phone in, and he cuts a sponge, and he soaks the sponge in the brown Listerine mouthwash, and he'll just slide them with the plastic cases into the box, close it up, and the Listerine and the alcohol in the Listerine keeps it from mildewing, and it keeps the reeds wet without being in water. That's another thing. I haven't tried that.
But I use the Listerine white, without color. That works.
Okay. Oh, but that's water.
It's water with uncolored Listerine.
That's what's the proportion?
Yeah.
Half and half?
No, it's more like 75% water, 25% Listerine.
Okay. And it's actually the Listerine product, the clear one.
No, it's kind of the same product from another brand. It's like a no-name brand, but I didn't want to use a blue or a green one. I was searching for non-colored.
Because it might stain the reed.
Yeah.
That could be a cool thing. Like hey man, where do you get those blue reeds? Who makes the blue reed?
Yes.
Yeah. Then you pull the and all of a sudden your lips are blue or something. That would be kind of interesting.
Yeah. No. This is like no color, and it always tastes like fresh toothbrush. It's all good.
So okay, it's time for one more video. We're gonna try it one more time, but I want to play for everybody. Thorsten taking the solo on soul vaccination with Tower Power, and I think that was in Karlsruhe.
It was in Karlsruhe as well.
Yeah. Berta asked earlier. That was in Karlsruhe. Yeah. So we're gonna see if we can get one more video here on this new platform that we're using, because the other one kept crashing.
It kept crashing. Okay, so I know it's here. I'm looking for it. There it is. Okay. Give me a second. Okay, and let me make this whole.
I'm crossing my fingers again.
Oh, it'll work.
Okay.
Okay. I'm just got to do all my stuff. There we go. And then share.
One of you students just tuned in.
Yes. They turned back in. They left us 1 hour ago when we had the technical problems, and now they turned back in. And my mom and my brother, and
they tune back in and go like, "Those guys are still talking."
Yeah.
Okay, so I have it ready, and I'm going to play, and there we go.
Well, the people seem to really like that.
No, I still remember that you told me, "Hey, Thorsten, it's nobody cares what you're playing. At least you have to end with a high E together with the trumpets. Can you put that? Can you make that happen?" And I said, "Okay, don't miss it. Just end with a high E, and please read whatever please read. Don't fuck it up now. This is the moment I have at least to hit the high E." Yeah, it worked out. But still, though, I can hear 8 things I would have done better than I did it there. But it went out.
It's our disease. I didn't, but I would have heard 8 or 10 things if I had played the solo. It just is what it is.
It is what it is. I was happy that I didn't fuck up the shout before the solo, like the so the shout is pretty. Yeah, you have to count a little bit, and you have to find the voicing. And Emilio was so nice, and he said, "Hey, Thorsten, as long as if you stay kind of in the key and you hit the parts rhythmically right, nothing can happen." This was Emilio said to me.
Yeah.
"Hey, Emilio, should I double tom? Should I double cell in octaves?" And he said, "You'll make it as long as you hit rhythmically everything right and stay in the key." Maybe he had an appointment with the sound guy. Okay, in the section parts, don't turn Thorsten on in the section part. I don't know, but I kind of memorized it pretty okay. Yeah.
The band leader loves you.
Yeah, maybe because I still remember when I organized like 80% of the band and some sound guys. I organized some flight tickets through Europe because he had such a horrible
to Spain.
Yeah,
You gave us a day off. You allowed us a day off in Amsterdam, and then we flew down to Barcelona and joined the band in Spain. And then I think Mimi, Doc, and Dave stayed on the bus because, but they had the bus all to themselves, so that was nice for them. They had an empty bus, you know. But Thorsten found all these $100 airfares for us. $100, $20 to fly from Amsterdam to, I think, nonstop.
Yeah, you made it nonstop. I think it was called EasyJet or Easy.
Yeah,
something.
And we
something
left,
easy.
And we left a lot of our luggage on the bus, so we didn't have to fly with just carry on. So it was really easy just to walk on, not check any luggage. That was really and they had that instead of sitting on the bus for a day, we had a whole day off in Amsterdam.
Yeah.
So that was great because that was Amsterdam to Barcelona is like 1,000 kilometers, 1,200 kilometers.
At least. I think it's even more. Yeah.
That's a long way.
Yeah.
You have to go through Holland, then through Belgium, all the way through France.
And then to Barcelona is pretty in the south of Spain. It's a horrible drive. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, listen, if we wanted to close this, I have no way of doing it fancy with playing with, all of the titles and everything because this doesn't do that. And if I want to do something like that, I have to create my own and make it. So when we sign off, I have to just kind of like sign off.
Well, sign off by playing a video. Maybe some of the people that are tuning in probably didn't see the opening video.
Well, I could play that again. And
I would like to see, I think that opening video is fantastic.
It's pretty cool. So I could play that.
I want Yamaha, but instead of water skiing, they got to do some stuff with me, playing golf,
Oh, that's cool.
Play golf, hiking, play golf, a hike, bicycle, no skiing.
Or you have the video with the Heavy Tones band in the Harmony in Bonn, which is a pretty.
I could do that too. I could do
because
that.
we didn't saw a Heavy Tones video so far. We saw Tom Tower. So
yeah, let's play the Heavy Tones.
Can you find that?
I have it. I have it right now, so I'll pull it up here. Now, the other thing that I want to say before we do this, though, thank you so much for putting up with all of the stuff that we had to go through tonight. And what I'm going to be able to do, though, when this is all done, is I can pull all the parts together and make a really cool video that I can post on YouTube.
Okay.
So everybody will see all of the stuff that we did, and it might be we can do the outtakes.
Yeah, let's do an outtake video. I like it.
Yeah.
Outtakes of all the cussing I was doing back here. Like, oh man, this stupid thing. All right, so I'm going to make this full screen.
So I guess we're saying goodbye to everybody who's been watching. Thanks for hanging in there. We've got a good hour and more with this new stream. Is this called Live Studio? Is that what this thing's called?
This is called Restream.
Live Studio Restream.
And we've actually been at it about an hour and 20. On top of the first hour we spent messing with all of this stuff and the 4 different little things.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I have to thank you, Tom and Jeff, for the invitation because this is really a big honor. I asked 3 times, are you sure you want to have me on this? Because I saw, I checked out Russo and Bob Minson and said, what the heck did you think about inviting me? But it was a really privileged honor to me, and I'm really humbled to have this experience. And I mean,
and I just also want to make people in America aware of some of the great music. The musicians they have, folks, in especially in Germany and Holland, are first class. So many great players that I've run into in Germany and Holland, especially. Not to say that the other countries don't have great players too, because they do. There is like a very flourishing music scene happening over there, and generally speaking, Europeans support the arts better than the arts are supported in America. Generally, there are places where the arts are supported. New York City. It used to be in San Francisco, but not so much anymore.
Yeah.
But anyway,
I do want
Anyway,
Yeah.
to say that Bob Mintzer actually had tuned in for a while and was watching. I don't know
what?
if here, but he was
Yes.
watching. Wow.
Bob. Yeah, Bob. I didn't want to tell you that. Yeah, Bob Mitchell was tuned in.
Yeah.
God. Yeah, I hope so much that he will soon return to the WDR big band whenever it's possible. I mean, I really hope for us all that we're gonna get somehow through this and have our lives back, to be allowed to travel to, because I'm doing okay. I'm blessed. I have 60 students. I'm coming through this, but I really miss being on stage and playing in front of people. That's maybe us all. We're sitting all in the same boat.
Yeah.
Even one country handled it better, other maybe not so well. But after all, we're kind of in the same boat at the moment. We're not playing live in front of people, and this is what I miss most. So,
Yeah.
and I'm so sad that I will not see Tower of Power in November in Munich in the Muffethalle again in Schönin. But
I know.
I hope so much
We'll
that
be back next year.
21, we will make it happen again, my friend.
They pushed it back a year into October of next year.
I start practicing right tomorrow.
Yeah, well, I'm going to start practicing in August. I'm about to go and I'm going to actually sign off of Facebook for a couple of weeks and just pause my account so I don't look at it. And I'm going to take off and try to get off the grid for at least a week.
Okay.
And then, I'm going to take a road trip and kind of get out into parts with less people.
Yeah.
I want to go where the population is really low and just, yeah.
Let me add though too, the one thing cool about this particular platform is I can get as many as 6 people on at the same time. So we could like have a group therapy session with sax players.
Yes.
That'd be cool.
It would be kind of cool because I can't do any fancy stuff, but it would be like a Zoom thing that would just live stream.
Yeah.
So that might be kind of cool. You just get a bunch of sax players. Well, I don't know if I could handle being in a room of a bunch of sax.
You should just get a bunch of the people man, that know each other. Just a bunch of people that know each other.
Yeah, there you go.
I mean, we're all in the music business.
Yeah.
There's some people who aren't in the music business, but
well,
we know are.
Okay, so what's this song that we're listening to that you're playing from?
It's, if you play that video, I think you play. It's an Average White Band tune.
Okay.
And this was a concert in Bonn, and I don't remember the name of the tune. It's not Pick Up the Pieces, but it's one of the other songs of Average White Band with the heavy tones.
Okay. So we're going to sign off, Tom, and we'll see you maybe in a few weeks. Have a nice vacation. Sure. Thorsten, it was wonderful getting to know you. And Tom was right. He said you're going to like him. He's a great guy. He's much nicer than you. And I went, good. I said, that's good. And and Thorsten and I had a nice talk the other morning, for 10, 15 minutes before his students came
Our
on.
sound check went perfect.
Well, both of you are my brothers from another mother. So probably the two of you are probably brothers from another mother, and you don't know it yet, but you just met.
Well, I at some point I'll come to Germany. I swear I'll make it over there at some point before the end of time for me.
Yeah, with your last name, they might think you're German.
They might. They go like,
of course.
Yeah.
And if you come to Munich, you're my guest. We have a house here. We have space.
So how do you say Nuss in German? Is like Nuss?
Nuss.
Nuss. Yes. Nuss. It's like you or it's in between, like Nuss, right?
Nuss. Nuss. Nuss.
Okay.
It's like the tree, you have the Nuss tree, Nussbaum.
Okay.
It's like Adam Nussbaum.
Yeah.
And the Nuss is the little thing which falls off the Nuss tree, the nut tree.
The nut. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm guessing that maybe nut would be appropriate for me then.
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you. I'm going to sign off with this song, and hopefully everything.